Welcome to the Call to Harmony, where we explore the inner journey to oneness with self, others, and the divine. Hello, everybody. We are back for another week of this podcast, and we're happy to be here. We're glad that you're listening again, if you are listening. And we are going to talk about I'm going to let Tucker introduce this because he's got probably better words to explain what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I want to talk today about the longing of the soul. And this is an interesting topic because I think every human has deep inside them just a soul longing, a longing for, well, let me tell a story. This is when I first came across this idea. I was serving a mission as a full-time missionary in Fortaleza, Brazil. And me and a few missionaries were at Pizza Hut, shamelessly finding a U.S. restaurant on our day off. And there were two American restaurants, McDonald's and Pizza Hut. And when we discovered Pizza Hut, it was just like Mecca for us. And so we went to this Pizza Hut. We were so happy about it. And as we were sitting there, we looked over and we saw one of the only Americans I saw for the 2 years that I was in Brazil. And he was sitting by himself at a table, just eating there. And one of the other missionaries was like, "Hey, somebody should go talk to him," right? As missionaries do. We're humans. We get nervous. And we're like, I'm used to talking to Brazilians, but man, that guy looks intimidating. And I was like, I'm going to go talk to him. So I went over and sat down. I was like, "Hey, can I chat with you for a second? Where are you from?" And he said, "Oh, I'm from Colorado." And I said, "What brings you to Fortaleza, Brazil?" And he said, "Oh, I work on a ship that travels the world." I think it was an oil tanker. And he travels the whole world and just goes place to place, and he's not home. He wasn't home very much. But I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And he asked me what I was doing. I said I was a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and there for 2 years and teaching people about God. And he said, "You know what I've learned by traveling the world?" He said, "Everywhere I go, I find people doing the same type of things." He says, "I think everybody has a God-shaped hole in their souls, and we try to fill it with all kinds of different things." And he said, drugs, women, alcohol, money, gambling, work, named a bunch of things. And he said, "But the only thing that really fills that hole is God." And I was the guy supposed to be teaching, right? And it hit me. It was very profound. And I've thought about that conversation now for almost 30 years. And how true it is. And how true it is, at least for me, that there is a hole in my soul where there is a longing, a really, really deep longing that I've tried to fill with so many different things. I've tried to fill it with success, with position, with job, with money, with activities, with doing things, with traveling, with all kinds of things. I've tried to fill it. And it never stays, it's never satisfied by anything but a connection with the divine. And Savannah, does that resonate at all with you?
Yeah. I think that, I feel like there probably are moments where that longing feels more intense, or like I actually notice that there's a longing that the other things I'm doing or trying to fill that hole with aren't like doing the trick, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes though it's hard to see that. Like sometimes it's like, no, things are good and I'm just kind of coasting and like it's just, I'm happy, I'm enjoying things in life, like it's all good.
Yep.
Which I think comes from just busyness of life, and I think the lack of stillness that we all experience, because it's hard to be still. It's hard to find moments of quiet where you probably actually would recognize, like, oh, yeah, I'm missing something here, or I'm not. Yeah, there's this longing or this hole that's actually not being filled by all these other things that I might enjoy and that might still be good, but aren't quite satisfying that longing, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I heard a chant from a Quaker woman. Oh, we need to put it in the show notes when I remember her name. Oh, it's Paulette. I don't remember her last name, but it's on Apple Music. But, Paulette has this chant that says, "Neither activities nor possessions will ever be able to satisfy the spiritual longing radiating from our souls."
Mm.
And I love that chant. It's just dripping with truth and experience for me. Um, and I think you're right that we're not always feeling this spiritual longing radiating from our souls. I think there's ups and downs. There's times in our lives when something cracks open and the longing gets through. For me, it's been breaking points for some reason or another, like going through my own faith crisis experience, and having an extended period of time where I wasn't feeling divine connection, where I was feeling emotional turmoil and cognitive dissonance and all of these things.
Mhm.
And I remember getting to points where I was like, I want to feel like I want to feel that joy in God that I used to feel. And it just felt just felt like a desert, just parched desert pleading for rain.
Mm.
And so the soul longing, I think it's a really beautiful and important thing. I would even call it maybe a compass that we've been given
Mm.
to help us get our direction. Um, and yet, like my friend from Colorado said, the way that usually human nature goes is we'll fill it with other things or we'll escape the feeling by distracting ourselves with other things.
Yeah.
And if we can come back to that soul longing, then we can kind of recenter and get our direction. So, but let's talk for a second. Like, if that's true, like, why why don't we like to feel this soul longing? Like, if this is such an important thing, like, why aren't we all just like embracing this soul longing experience that could guide us into important paths and places and destinations?
Mm.
Any thoughts, Savannah?
Yeah, I think it's just because, like, it means that we're missing something. It means that we don't have something that we need, and we might not really know either what that is or how to get it, and so that feels, at least for me, I'm like, "Ah, flip," like, I don't know how to fill this hole, like, I don't know, especially as I'm, like, experiencing my journey, and like I had mentioned before on an episode of, like, the nourishment that I once felt
Yeah.
at church, because I think I avoid that this longing for divinity was being filled,
Mhm.
but that platform is no longer doing that for me, and so I feel like I don't think I avoid the longing, but when it comes up, I start to feel a little panicked because I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to." I maybe understand what the longing is for because I once had it filled, or at least I thought, that was my experience. But
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh, it's something's missing. And that sucks for me because I once, like, it used to not be missing, but now it is. And now I don't know how to fill that void in a way that, like, is going to be meaningful and satisfying for that longing. So I think for me, yeah, it's just that, like, oh, I am missing something and I don't actually know how to find it
Yeah.
and fill it, you know?
Yeah.
So
I don't want to rush past that, Savannah, because that's beautiful description. Yeah, that that experience of I'm hungry for something and I don't know what to eat.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
and yet this is bringing up for me, like scriptures. Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, he says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled with the Spirit."
Mm,
Um, and like that hunger, that soul yearning, that soul longing. I wonder if people listening, even as they heard your description, are having some of that come up. And with it, as it comes up, like it's uncomfortable. Like you said, it feels like there's a lack.
yeah.
And I think sometimes our nervous systems react to that and it's like, no, 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 we don't want to feel this. This is not okay.
Mm,
And our egos maybe respond and like, no, no, we're good. We've got things figured out. We're all right. And so, like, subconsciously, unconsciously, we go for certainty rather than the uncertainty that comes with longing. And we go for comfort rather than the discomfort that comes from the longing. And we go for fullness of some kind instead of the emptiness that
mm,
we feel when there's some longing. And yet this longing is so pivotal. Have we ever shared this little anecdote on the podcast about a Buddhist master whose pupil comes to him and his pupil's all excited about these experiences that he's had and wants to tell his master all about them and he's like, guess what happened? I did this in my meditation and I had this breakthrough and da 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 da. And the master has there's two teacups between them, and as the student just keeps talking and talking, the master takes his little teapot and fills the student's cup. The
mm,
student keeps talking and he keeps filling it to the top, and then it overflows and starts spilling onto the table and down onto the student. The student finally stops and he's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing, master?" And the master says, "You are too full for me to teach you. Come
mm.
back when you are empty."
It's amazing. That's so true.
It is. There is, we are most ready when we're empty.
Mm,
Right? We're most ready when when we're longing. And yet there's something in our human nature that's like, "No, I've gotta be full. I've
mm,
gotta have it all figured out. I've gotta have certainty and everything settled in its boxes," right? And what we're talking about here, we've talked in a past episode, we talked about religious journey, spiritual journey, and faith journey, right? And how those intertwine. The spiritual journey, a really key part of it in my mind, is when our new compass comes from within us and to we learn to listen to our own spiritual longing, and we learn to let that guide us rather than certainty, right? And having everything figured out. And so that takes a few things, right? That takes some mindfulness to like be aware of our what's going on inside. We need to be aware that we're trying to escape and distract ourselves from the discomfort of not knowing, from uncertainty, from longing. We need to be able to see that in ourselves so that we can slow down and let the longing do what the longing does, right?
yeah.
And I mean, whoever's listening from whatever religious tradition you're from, I'm imagining that you can go back to the roots of that tradition and find just longing, spiritual longing, fiery spiritual longing of a seeker that was really wanting to connect, find God, find fullness, find wholeness. And that's where we find like the fire of religion, right? The the excitement of it. And maybe people that are listening have seen somebody that's a new convert to religion, and they come in and they're just full of excitement and fire because their soul's been longing, and there's something here that they've found that it's filling, and it's so beautiful. And there's something almost hard to capture in words here, that it's the longing itself that is our compass, and sometimes it's the longing that we lose.
Hmm.
And sometimes, uh, with religion, over time, the longing gets a little bit lost, and it turns into rules and guidelines. It turns into mechanicalness
Hmm.
rather than, um, the longing and the seeking and the spirit, like Jesus said, that comes for those that are hungering and thirsting after it. Sometimes we just lose the hunger and thirst. And so, can I give a couple quick examples? So, in our faith tradition, Savannah, we have the Book of Mormon, and maybe many of our listeners, especially this first season, are coming from an LDS tradition as well. But in the Book of Mormon, it's a book of longing, like person after person after person. And it's so beautiful that way. I don't know where people are at that are listening with historicity of the Book of Mormon or its origins or anything like that. But if we just, set those questions aside for a moment and just look at the stories in the Book of Mormon, there's story after story after story of people with this soul longing. And
Mhm.
it's so beautiful. Like the very beginning, there's Lehi in Jerusalem, and he's like longing to connect with God and loves his people. And then he gets an answer and he wants to go share this, and he longs for everybody to jump into this new understanding he has. And that doesn't work out, and they want to kill him. And so he leaves and takes his family to the wilderness. And now he's longing for a promised land. And he's got a son, Nephi, that captures the longing. And Laman and Lemuel, they're still doing that old thing that my friend from Colorado said, trying to fill it with things back in Jerusalem, treasures or whatever. And then there's other stories. There's Enos, who's heard that his dad had connection with God, and he goes into the wilderness, and it says, "My soul hungered." And Enos
Mm.
prays all day and all night, and then that longing there's a response from God to that. And there's other stories, Abinadi and Alma the elder and Alma the younger. Alma the younger has this conversion story where he's been like rebelling against his dad and believers, and then an angel comes to him, and he realizes, oh, I've been going about this not in a productive way. And then he reaches out for Christ, and he feels himself filled with hope and love. And then he says, I saw God in heaven, and my soul longed to be there.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, like the thing that's restored to him isn't he's all good and he's got all of his beliefs settled. Like God plants a longing in him,
Yeah.
and then it's off to the races. Alma does amazing things after that, right? Anyway, I just keep talking here, but story after story after story. Oh, there's one more that's so good. Do you remember Lamoni's father? So he's the Lamanite. Lamanites are kind of the framed as the antagonists for a lot of the Book of Mormon, but the king of the Lamanites is taught by a guy named, well, Aaron and his brother, right? Aaron teaches him, and the king, like his soul starts to long, and he starts to pray, and he says, God, if there is a God and that you are God, I'll give up my whole kingdom to know you. And you
Mhm.
can just feel the longing in this king's soul in the story. And it's like so
Yeah.
beautiful,
Mm.
right? And so the response comes, and it's this soul longing that's leading people on these journeys to find fullness and wholeness in God.
Mm.
And that continues through the Book of Mormon. We could keep going, but that's one of the things that I love in the Book of Mormon is that longing and response that is embedded in the human soul. And I think oftentimes as people read that and see that, they respond, "Oh yeah," and then we get our own soul longing, and
Yeah.
then we lose it,
Mhm.
and it's something that needs to be recaptured. So, Savannah, what are your thoughts? Man, I just talked for a long time.
We love when you talk for a long time. It's great. I love it. I'm learning so much. Yeah, I think that kind of just same thing like I said, like I think we lose the longing because yeah, we start to feel like use other things or look at other things and maybe it's cuz the longing is uncomfortable and whatever, but I just keep thinking about like you had said with that teacher, the with the Buddhist monk,
Yeah,
right? Just like, "You're too full, like, I can't give you anything," and so I think just, like, to embrace the empty is what keeps, like, going through my mind, but I'm like, "Man, how do you" I'm like, "I'm not feeling crazy empty right now, so
uh-huh,
maybe we need to practice," I don't know, but, like, I I feel like there are certain situations where I know that that emptiness comes up, and so, like, maybe just allowing myself to sit there, but I'm thinking of people who might be listening that are like, "Okay, like, yeah, like, I think I've felt those things before. I've hungered for something, I've longed for something, and maybe I'm in a moment or a place right now where I'm not feeling that as intensely, but I know that it's there." But, like, how do you really tap into that emptiness to allow that longing to guide you? Because I think that's super helpful to think of the longing as a compass and, like, leaning into trusting yourself and, like, trusting that what's within you already will lead you to divinity, lead you to filling this, God-shaped, divinity-shaped hole inside of you, you know?
yeah,
But I think it is hard to kind of lean into that trusting yourself, especially if you are a part of a faith tradition that is very, uh, I don't know, externally guided by leaders or,
right,
whatever it might be, or maybe some guidelines, rules, different things that, while there still is like encouragement to like trust yourself and like personal revelation, it can be tricky because it's like, oh, it's easier to just lean on someone else or something else,
yeah,
to tell me where to go. And, they are, I mean, in our faith tradition, we are being guided in a lot of ways. And so I think it can be hard to tap into that self of like, okay, where's my internal compass?
yeah,
And can I actually trust that? And can I lean into that?
yeah, and that can be really scary.
Yeah.
What if my internal compass guides me somewhere that is scary, unfamiliar, not charted, right?
Yeah.
That can be really scary. And
Yeah.
oftentimes our minds go to black and white either or thinking and we're like, well, if I'm going to listen to my internal compass, that means I have to not listen to other people.
Mm,
And then we go into that either or and like we say with the faith journey, it's learning to hold both and ultimately, we need to be divinely guided, right?
mm,
And other people's teachings and guidance can help us tap in, but we need our own divine guidance, our own connection, our own compass. That's where we become spiritually mature. And that doesn't mean we have to throw out other people's counsel. That doesn't mean we have to not listen. That doesn't mean we have to go on our own completely and we'll be lonely.
yeah.
That means that we might have to learn how to hold both sometimes and to respect uh, other people's guidance and teachings and open ourselves up to being empty
Yeah.
and knowing that our situation is our situation and nobody else in the history of the universe has ever lived our unique situation. And so we need unique connection and guidance directly with the
Mm,
divine
yeah.
to have our compass working, right? And not follow somebody else's compass only,
Yeah.
but hold both, right?
Yep.
So, let's well, I wanted to do a practice together, but I don't wanna go there and if there are lingering questions or lingering things that we need to address. Anything else on your mind that people might be wondering or concerned about as we think about longing of the soul?
I wonder if there's people that maybe mm, think or feel like, well, I don't think I've felt that, but should I? Should I be feeling this longing? Should I? Like, am I missing something? Is there Have I ignored a longing? Have I just not had it? And because some things are like that void's already filled. I don't know. I'm just thinking about people that maybe
Yeah.
are second guessing now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, should I have a longing? Like, am I missing something here? And I wonder, yeah, maybe thoughts for people who might be in that space.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely a part of me that anytime I hear that somebody else says, "Hey, I'm having the experience," I'm like, "What's wrong with me?" Right? What's my issue? And with our parts discussion that we recently had, there's always a part of us, that has been formed by our experiences. Uh, at least probably for most of us, that is like, yeah, there's something wrong with me because my experience doesn't line up with something else.
Mm,
And I mean, first response from me, and I would love to hear your response, is we are not saying that that you are broken or that you are wrong or that you're at a place in your journey that is not legitimate right now if you're not feeling soul longing or remembering feeling soul longing.
yeah.
Along our journeys, we actually need times of fullness. Um, those are really important to have times of fullness mixed in with our times of emptiness,
Mm,
right? If it was all emptiness, I don't know if our bodies and nervous systems could handle it. But
mm,
we need times of fullness, and we need to recognize that, yeah, emptiness actually takes us to a place of humility and openness that
mm,
maybe we don't have if we're always in a state of fullness. So, yeah, I don't want shame to come into the equation here, and at the same time, we want to recognize that emptiness, like in that Buddhist little example, that Buddhist story, emptiness um, is vital on an individual spiritual journey and the humility that comes with that.
mm,
And I think every soul, even if the concept of longing, deep longing isn't resonating, I think probably everybody listening can think of a time in your life where you knew that you needed some power beyond your own to move forward,
mm. Yeah.
and where you couldn't hold it all, you couldn't handle it all. There's too much to juggle, too much emotion, too much to figure out, too much complexity. And for me, that's when longing comes in, is
Yeah.
because usually my mind's like, "Oh, I got this. It's all do 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 do," and then all of a sudden it's like, "I don't got this. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I forgot. I
Yeah.
forgot to be empty,
Yeah.
and I was trying to make myself full."
Mm,
So wherever you're at, that's a perfect place to be,
mhm,
and maybe we'll just do a little practice here with accessing this inner compass and letting ourselves long. And one of the tricky things about this is sometimes when we do deep practices like this, we start to think, okay, so what is supposed to happen?
mm,
Like, what is the end goal? Am I going to long and then my cup is going to be filled to overflowing with God and His presence? Maybe. Am I going to long and just be left longing? Maybe. I don't know exactly what's going to happen for you. I don't know what's going to happen for me. In my experience, just longing and sitting with the longing helps us move to a new place. I'll just share this personally. When I was going through the hardest parts of my faith crisis and I first started to learn about meditation,
mhm,
and I was learning these different techniques and I was awful at it. if it's okay to pass judgment on my past self, but, I could not sit there without my mind like, "Wait, is something supposed to be happening? Am I supposed to be feeling something? Am I supposed to be doing something different?" I'm really bad at this, and all the judgments and everything would come in. And, uh, and so, like, watching my breath, I could pay attention to my breath for maybe 2 breaths, and then my mind was off thinking about something else. I tried all these different things, and in the midst of all of this longing started to come up, and I was like, "I'm just gonna open myself up to that."
Mm,
And I don't know if this resonates with anybody listening, but I'm just gonna share it anyway. Um, I would sit with this longing, and it would start as kind of a little void in my chest, a little emptiness, and I would just make space for it and be like, "Yeah, you're welcome to be here." And
mm,
it would grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it would feel like it was going to, like, swallow my whole chest, and I just trusted it. I just sat with it and was like, "I long for connection with God. I long for the divine." And sometimes the longing, just at the end of sitting there and longing for a few minutes, I would open my eyes and I was in a different place. I don't know how to explain this. Um, Not that the outside world changed, but I had I was looking at it with new eyes, and I
mm,
could kind of see things that I couldn't see before. I could see the beauty in the world that I didn't see before because I was longing. Like, the longing gives us new eyes. I could, look at my kids that maybe I had been annoyed by a little bit earlier, something they were doing, and I'd look at the same moment, and from this new space of consciousness, I'd be like, "I am going to miss this moment in the future of my kid's childhood." And the longing taught me to, like, show up in the present moment and love what is.
mm.
And so I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but
Yeah.
the longing itself is transformative. I don't know what the result is for is going to be, but trusting this longing and letting that inner compass lead you
Mhm.
is enough to practice. And
Yeah.
so let's try it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So as we do, let's just take a few moments to settle in. If you want to close your eyes, if you're in a space where you can close your eyes so you can focus on this and not get distracted by thoughts of what you're seeing, that's great. And for this practice, we will need to settle in and become still. We'll start with outward stillness. Just let your body settle in and become still. Just notice what it feels like to be in your body in this moment. Notice any feelings that are coming up, maybe nervousness, anxiety, worry, fear, maybe peace. Maybe you're curious about what's going to happen as we practice opening ourselves up to the longing of the soul. Whatever is coming up for you, just welcome that feeling. Allow it to be here as part of your current experience. Notice any thoughts that might be distracting, pulling you away from the moment. And let's bring ourselves back to center. Take a deep breath and let it out and relax. Let's start relaxation from the center of our chest going outward. Let a sense of calmness start with your next breath, and on the out breath, emanate out from the center of your chest, radiating through your abdomen, through your shoulders. Let them relax, become heavy. Relax your arms, your biceps, triceps, your forearms. Let your hands become completely relaxed. Notice your neck and any tension that's there and relax it completely. Relax your face, the muscles in your face, around your mouth, around your eyes, your forehead, your scalp. Relax your legs, your thighs, your calves, your feet. And let your body just rest in the present moment of relaxation for a moment. Now let's bring our focus back to center of your chest. And if you need to bring up a memory, that's great. If it feels closer than a memory, just allow yourself to think of a time when you have longed for closeness with God, when you've longed for wholeness with yourself, when you've longed for connection with the divine. Or maybe that moment is now. And see if you can approach it with enough confidence and a sense of welcoming it, this feeling of longing to arise. Give it space, give it the chance to be here right now. And if you want to give it voice, feel free to give it voice. You could say something like, God, I long for you. Or if that wording doesn't work for you, I long for my higher power. I long for wholeness. I long for contact with my true self. Whatever wording works for you right now. Open yourself up to the longing. And if you notice it growing as a feeling, the feeling of longing, there might be some discomfort with it. It can be difficult to feel that sense of lack, that sense of emptiness. See if you can trust it and allow it to grow. Trust it as a guide, as a compass. If your mind gets distracted or your nervous system kicks up a little bit with the discomfort, with the difficulty of it, just bring your attention back to center and allow yourself to practice longing. And notice that deep down, there's something in you that knows how to long for God and that trusts that this longing can be met with the response that's needed. It's deeper than the mind, it's deeper than thought, than story. there's something deep in your soul that has a homing device that knows how to reach and long and yearn for God. Let it do its work. If there is a rising response, a sense of presence or peace, feel free to welcome that too. If there is just the yearning, just the longing, know that that too is doing its own divine work with you. And notice that this longing is so deep. If it's come up for you, this soul longing, it's deeper than anything that can be filled with possessions or with positions or with activities or any of the things that we try to fill our souls with. But this soul is deeper than deep, helping us lead us to what matters most. And just trust it to lead you now. If you'd like to sit with this longer, feel free to pause. Practice opening yourself to the longing. But we'll slowly come out of this, not in order to fill the longing or to end the experience, but just to take it with us and see if you can hold on to that state of consciousness that's come from this practice. As you get ready to open your eyes and notice your surroundings, see if anything has shifted. Go ahead and open your eyes and hold on to that inner state while you re-engage with what's around you. Seeing if anything has changed or shifted. If so, beautiful. If not, beautiful. This is all practice of opening ourselves to the longing of our souls. Savannah, any thoughts or response as we wrap up today?
I think just be patient with yourself. I found myself having a hard time getting into a quiet place in my mind and I've got some things coming up this weekend. I just am thinking about other things, and I feel like I've shared this before where I'm like, come on, focus, Savannah. Pay
Right.
attention. But then I was like, okay, that's okay. I almost found myself making time for those things too, because I'm like, okay, they keep coming back into my head within seconds of me refocusing. I'm like, okay, maybe I just haven't given time and attention to these things. I don't know. I think obviously each specific practice can help you towards we were really focusing on, feeling and finding that longing and I had a moment where I was like, okay, I'm wanting some connection with myself, with divinity, and that's kind of what I got. But then I don't know, I was trying to just allow myself to let whatever was happening happen and recognizing oh, I've not given time to maybe some of the stresses I have about what's coming up this weekend and different things. So just be patient with yourself as you practice, as you engage in any of these practices that we do on the podcast. Like, I love that you said, like, if something feels different and looks different now, like, beautiful. If not, beautiful. Like, it's all a practice, and it's all, I think, leading us towards something good and understanding more of ourselves. So,
yeah, beautiful. So important what you just said there. It can feel so frustrating if we feel like we're not doing it right, or we didn't get the
mm,
the imagined outcome that we were looking for. And what you learned during that was really important. There are things coming up in there, and there's parts of you that need to be listened to,
yeah.
right? And sometimes when we slow down, those parts come up, and that is good work that you did to listen to their parts and listen to those parts and accept them and
Mm,
acknowledge them. So
yeah.
beautiful. Whatever's coming up, it's beautiful.
Mm,
So thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. And we hope that this is helpful in pondering, thinking. Watch for those moments when the longing of your souls come up. And we just a practice. Trust it.
mm,
It's leading us somewhere good, as Savannah said.
yeah. Embrace the empty.
Embrace the empty. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See ya. Thank you for listening, and we hope you will join us next time on The Call to Harmony.